Today, I'm going to talk about why the language that we use to describe coaching isn't selling it in the way that we want it to. So I think today's live stream is called Why Transformation Doesn't Sell Coaching. Transformation in inverted commas, because of course transformation itself would, if only the people that we were talking to try and get them interested in our coaching, actually understood what on earth we were talking about. So here's the thing. There are two different languages that we need to speak as owners of a successful coaching practice. And this goes back to this idea of a weighing scale that I kind of bang on about, really, because if you can get this idea firmly into your head, then it makes everything else easier. Well, makes everything else more simple to understand. It's not easy. Of course, it's not. Anything worth having is it can be challenging, can't it? But this idea of a weighing scale, and for every successful business in the world, whatever they sell, have to have these two skills in equal quantity. So on one side of our skills scale sit the skills that we need when we are delivering our service or our product, depending on what kind of business we've got. So for us, that's our coaching skills, and also any other tool that we have that we kind of whip out when we're sitting in front of a client. So Gestalt, NLP, different sorts of personality profiling tools, assorted coaching qualifications. Yeah, I could go on. Everything that we use in service of the client sits on the delivery side of our business, and they are not client acquisition tools. No matter how much you were led to believe that this qualification is the one that clients want, it's not true. It's not true. On this side of the weighing scale sit the skills that we need to create the opportunities to do that delivery. And these are client acquisition skills, and these are predominantly marketing and sales. And the two languages that I'm talking about are the languages that are appropriate depending upon which side of the scales you are in at any given moment. I suppose you are on, wouldn't you be in a scale, would you? You'd be on it. So when we are with clients or when we are with coaches, we speak in coach speak, jargon, our jargon that we all understand, that, when we talk about holding space, for example, our colleagues understand exactly what that means, but most non-coaches wouldn't know what that means. And once we start using language that people don't understand, even though we're doing it with really good intentions, from their perspective, the person that we're talking to about holding space, and they feel patronized. Now, that's kind of not our fault, but it is our responsibility. We need to be able to articulate the value of coaching in a way that non-coaches can understand. That sentence is what client acquisition is. Articulating the value of coaching in a way that non-coaches can understand. That's like all of it. And to do that, we need to be able to describe how we can help, not what we do, but how we can help in a way that means something to them. Because if somebody talks like jargon at us, whoever we are, and in whatever situation we're in, it doesn't make us want to buy something. It makes us feel confused. Sometimes it makes us feel a bit thick. And it's what it certainly doesn't do is convince us to buy a product or service. And, a great example of that is I walked into a computer store because I had a problem with my computer and I wanted to know what the the best way of, sorry, I got something in my eye, it's driving me nuts. I wanted to know what the best way of resolving this problem was. And I spoke to clearly a very helpful, very articulate young man who spoke techie jargon. And I was asking him kind of very plain questions, and he was answering me in technical jargon that I didn't understand. And so by the end of the conversation, I was no closer to understanding what the problem was than I had been when I walked in. Now, had he got that right, I might have spent a few grand on a new computer, but he didn't. And so I left without buying. And that's what happens to most of us when we're trying to explain what we do. Now, there are several ways that we do this. Number one is that we try to describe our process, our professional process. So when somebody asks what we do and we say we're a coach and they say, oh, what do you coach on? And we say, oh, no, not that kind of coach. And they kind of look quizzical. So we say, this is what we do. And we start to go down the rabbit hole of trying to describe the coaching process in a way that is interesting and engaging to the person that we're talking to. Here's the thing. Nobody cares about another professional services processes. We don't care. We really don't care. I don't want to know how my solicitor is going to do my conveyance. I just want it done. I don't want to know how my accountant is going to kind of do all my books and filing and what have you. I just want it done. I know what outcome I want when I approach a solicitor or an accountant or any other professional service provider. I know what I want. And I know that they provide those services. Now, with coaching, that's not the case. People do not know what we do, which means that they are not looking for us when we have a problem, when they have a problem that we could help them resolve, because they don't know what we help with. They don't understand. And describing a process doesn't get them any closer to understanding. And there's a post in a Facebook group I belong to where somebody has shared, look, I've built a coaching directory. Would you like to be on it for free? And 80 coaches have gone, oh, yes, fantastic. Nobody's searching for a coach. You can be on all the coaching directories in the world. And if you're incredibly lucky, you might get a little bit of business from it, if you're lucky. But for the majority, coaching directories are just another place to spend time and energy trying to describe your coaching process. Nobody cares about our professional process. Now, before I came on this live stream, I did a bit of snipping of LinkedIn headlines, because this is one place where we get to see really good examples of people desperately trying to explain what we do. So somebody said, I have kind of, I'm not going to name them. I've just picked little bits out of LinkedIn headlines. Working with ambitious and curious leaders and teams to navigate change. From the coach's perspective, that's exactly what they want to do. From the perspective of the person or people that this coach might be talking to, ambitious and curious leaders and teams wanting to navigate change. It's so vague as to be unintelligible. The person going, oh, I'm an ambitious and curious leader. I want to navigate change. That's just not there, because people are wrapped in their own head and their own lives and their own problems and their own challenges. And trying to market to leaders and teams is really, really difficult, because what a leader needs to hear in order to understand why they should engage a coach, and what a team member needs to hear in order to understand why they might want to engage a coach, are two completely different things. It's not that they don't both deserve coaching. I believe everybody deserves coaching. But those two people are utterly different people and need an utterly different marketing message. Another one of these says, I work with leaders and business owners. So one would assume with that kind of definition, leaders are people who are employed and business owners are people who own businesses. Now, those two people are very, very different people, and they need to hear very, very different things to understand why they might want to buy coaching. Those two people both deserve coaching, but they have different values, they have different experiences, they have different attitudes to life. They are different people, and trying to market to two different people at the same time makes for a very foggy and confused marketing message. And confused people do not buy. They do not buy. And that's assuming that your marketing message is really good. It will still be confusing to the person who's reading it. Somebody else says in their LinkedIn headline, certified lifestyle coach. Nobody cares about that. So what? What you're looking for here is not to use the words that describe, as somebody else says, coaching the brave. So what? What the person who you want to engage needs to see, the person you want to engage as a client, needs to see is something that makes them go, that's me. She's talking about me. He's talking about me. And to do that, we need to use their language. So coach speak sits here, client speak sits here. Because being able to articulate the value of coaching in a way that non-coaches can understand is different depending on who that non-coach is. And this goes back to the idea of business owners and leaders. They need to hear different things. And in order to know what language we need to use on this side of our coaching business, on the creating the opportunities to do the delivery side, in order to know what language we should be using, we need to have a focus. Because until we know who we're talking to, we don't know what language we need to use. And I don't mean, Spanish or French. I mean, what do these people do? What is their professional language? And this ability to be bilingual, the biggest impact it makes, so kind of, from our clients, when we teach people how to do this, and there are lots of kind of lifting of veils of people going, oh, right, yes, that makes sense. I've never thought of it like that before. But the result of that work, of getting really, really clear on who you're talking to, and therefore what they need to hear, what words they need to hear, to help them understand what this transformation is that you're offering, the outcome is that coaches say, I found my voice. I know how to talk about what I do in a way that makes people want to engage with me and want to pay me to coach them. And not only want to pay me, but actually want to pay me the kind of rates we talked about when we were training. Because the sorts of rates we talk about, we talk about fees when we're training. We don't often talk about pricing. And when we do talk about pricing, it's I'm kind of getting involved in a slightly different topic here, but it is quite important. Instead of approaching it from a commercially astute perspective, which is, okay, who are these people and are they prepared to pay? And how much are they prepared to pay? When we're in coach training, it tends to be things like, right, okay, how much do you want to earn? How many hours do you want to work in a week? Let's divide those two numbers. There you go. That's how many clients you need. With no reference to where these people are going to come from. And this is why coaches end up coaching for mates rates so frequently, or discounting instantly because they worry that the person they're talking to can't afford them. And it's also where this idea that the price is the problem. The price is the reason that people aren't paying for coaching. It's not the problem. The price isn't the problem. It's the lack of understanding, because it doesn't matter whether you're charging £500 a session, £150 a session, £50 a session, or £5 a session. If the person you want to work with doesn't understand what they're going to get from working with you, back to the I want my conveyance doing, I want my books doing, if they don't understand what they're going to get out of it, they're not going to pay £5, let alone £500. It is very, very rarely the price that's the problem. It's that we use language that people do not understand. And that's a problem. And it's a problem that's killing our profession. Like make no mistake, 4 out of 5 of us will fail to thrive in business. And the reason for that is not because 80% of us are lousy coaches. That's not true. It's because we simply do not know how to find clients. Now, client acquisition, or lack of it, I've now caught myself in my clothes. Client acquisition is a professional skill. And just like coaching is a professional skill, we need to learn how to do it. We need to learn how to do it. We are not born naturally good at client acquisition. We are born able to learn, and that's it. And sorry, I was really caught up there. We don't know how to find clients. We feel like we should know. It feels like, we just need to use our intuition and our common sense. And the truth is, if that was true, we wouldn't have the attrition rate that we have, would we? So it isn't our fault that we don't know how to find clients. Coach training doesn't teach us how to find clients. Even coach training that offers a nod at what's euphemistically called business development and suggests, having really good conversations, networking on and offline, that's not very helpful without a proper strategy behind it. Networking with who, where on and offline. And if you start to just generically network, you will have found exactly the same way that millions of other coaches have found. Networking events are full of coaches who are trying to, offer transformation. So it isn't our fault that we don't know how to do this, but it is our responsibility to learn the missing skill set. So may I offer you a way to do some of that learning for free? I run a challenge 3 times a year. It is only for professional coaches. It can be for people who are training to become professional coaches, but it's not for anyone else. It is coach specific. Doesn't matter whether you're ICF, EMCC, ILM, doesn't matter. Providing you're a coach, this is for you. It runs for 4 days, from the 7th of September to the 10th of September this time. And it is 4 days of thinking. Now, we're coaches. We love a bit of challenging thinking, and that's what this is. And it's not, you don't have to sit at a desk for 4 days. There is a concept video dropped at 7 a.m. UK. It's never more than 20 minutes long, assuming you play it at full speed. And there is a concept and a task. The task is mostly thinking, but also a little bit of writing down, just the outcome of the task. And then every day at 5 p.m. UK, we do a live Q&A where a bunch of Coaching Revolution mentors and I hang out in a Zoom room for an hour and answer every single question that comes up. I can't do it on my own anymore because there are so many questions. There are questions in the chat. I'm answering questions as they're coming up. It's a busy, fascinating hour. The Q&A hours are the ones that coaches go, oh my word, you answered a question. I didn't even know I had that question. What a brilliant 4 days. And it will help you understand why the language you've been using and the lack of focus that you've had with your marketing might not have been the best use of your time. And it will help you understand what to do differently instead. I will put the link to register for the challenge around this live stream, and I will see you on Tuesday, because Monday's a bank holiday.